Good morning, everybody. So we got a bug in the system, so I thought I'd put bugs up. That's not quite right. But just as I went to show live, I realised I didn't change the bloody header. So you're seeing yesterday's update there, anyway. And the bugs were to remind me. Environmental themes are a pretty big deal. There's lots of good causes and this, that, and the other. We've all seen the plastics and the rubbish, flying through the ocean and getting caught up on islands and stuff like that. And so plastic is in the oceans. Everyone's into it. Everyone's aware of it, and we all talk about it. But it's you still go to the supermarket. There's all the rubbish, and plastic. Anyway, it's pretty tough. But the big news today, or I've seen it over the last week, but there was another report I saw. In fact, two things. One is the world's now gone through its first major tipping point, and they've basically given up on coral reefs. They're saying the coral reefs are stuffed, and the ocean is one of my constants in life, and I love coral reefs, and it's all a bit distressing, I've got to tell you. They're basically saying that that's it. There's no going back. In some parts of the Great Barrier Reef, for instance, been hit like 80% of stuff. Not everywhere, but certain areas. So that's bad luck. Not a good sign. Not a lot you can do about it because it's big issues involved. But the other one for Panama, and our course coming through, everyone remembers the lead in from Antigua to Panama. Well, that's sort of like if you called that the Gulf of Panama instead of the Gulf of America or whatever, that area all around, the sort of Gulf going down there and underneath Cuba and stuff. For the first time ever since records were kept, the undersea upwelling is not working. It's just not working. So everything's getting super hot. And that's a really bad sign as well because it's starting to, well, everyone knows that the currents are a threat, the ocean currents are a threat. And if the Gulf Stream drops off, then it's going to dramatically change the climate. But anyway, I don't want to go on about it. But yeah, some issues there, and bugs are on shore thing. And I've been seriously thinking about making bugs a bit of an environmental thing for the Gold Globe race because non-water, but it's an interesting discussion. When you just drive your car around, there's bugs on the screen. You've probably seen all the stuff, and there's hardly any bugs these days. So anyway, and here's my other gripe for the day. See these? These are all GoPro batteries. They're all stuffed. I have about 10 GoPro 10s, like 9 of them. I've got 9 GoPro 10s. Thought I'd better charge the batteries up, and they've all of a sudden decided to all die. Anyway, part of the course. Moving right along, we got boats out on the water, which is kind of cool, and everyone's sort of settling down for a bit of a regroup and a rest. It's good to see the comments coming back. I think everyone's enjoying it. And boy, Vince won't be working this, but the Ocean Cruising Club, which is a global sort of thing, where they have, have members all around the world, and they have a port officer in various ports around the world. And Vince is our guy in Durban, and he's doing a great job of getting everything fired up and organised and giving out all sorts of information to the entrants and so on. So there's a bit of anticipation there. It's going to be a well-coordinated stop and a very important one because of the weather. There'll be lots of local advice on that as well, but he's sorted out everything. All I've done is made the connection with Vince, we've connected with Vince and their team there. And the Royal Ontario Yacht Club are doing favours, giving them discounts and blah, blah, blah. So that looks good. And now there's just starting to look at the weather, the long-term weather for. It's up on Windy. You can actually see what's likely to happen. We're basically 10 days out now, but Windy keeps a forecast there for about 14 days. So if you want to get a hint of what might happen, you can check it out there, and you'll see as we get closer. When we're 10 days out now. When we get about 4 days out, I'll talk about the potential long-term forecast. We will be looking at the weather there, determining the start date. We could start it anywhere from the 23rd to the 26th. That's what we've said. At the moment, it's set up in a situation where they've got to go down to Port Louis to clear customs, and so they would go down there on Friday to clear customs, right, and get ready to go for Saturday. So the start is set for Saturday the 25th. We wouldn't leave on a Friday anyway, but at least they can get all the customs done. I don't know whether the office is even open on the weekends. It doesn't matter. They all effectively need to clear on Friday. And I also don't know, sometimes when you clear, they want you to leave within the hours. They won't let you stay overnight. So I'm shooting from the hip there, just assuming that they'll be able to clear out on Friday and leave on Saturday. So So a whole pile of things happening. I got a call. Renault was in there with Lewis, I think it was. Interesting, his name, from the Grand Bay Yacht Club. There, they want to have a reception or something, and so there are a few things happening there. That whole area up there looks pretty impressive. A couple of them are on a little marina there, a little jetty. You can see it when you zoom in on Google Earth, but because I didn't think there was a marina there, so that's convenient for them. I think some of the others will anchor out. I've noticed Kerry's still in Port Louis doing bits, so and I've got some reports here to give you. Don't let me forget. And I'll change the header once we've finished here. I've got lots of different things on the brain. Yes. Okay, we'll go straight to the tracker now and see what's happening, who's out there, which is kind of cool. So you're on the tracker, and now I'm on the tracker. So Adam's still plugging along. Looks like they got pretty good weather. Nice following bees. Jeepers, Jasmine and Eric are neck and neck there. That's kind of cool. That's the way they arrived. And all that's left now is Lonely Josh. So Josh will be out of there probably very soon, tomorrow or something. And what do we got? Yeah, he's going nowhere. We got the right time. Yeah, 8 o'clock. And Adam's on 8 o'clock. So that's the scenario. So, Jasmine, doing 4.7 at the moment. Did 63 since she's left. And Eric doing 4.7. Super close. I wonder how close they are. Let's have a look here. I'll just build it up because that's pretty close. Okay, one more and I can do a measure just for the hell of it. They should be in sighting distance of each other. That's close enough. Yeah, 2 miles. That's like standing off the beach. When you're sailing up towards the average beach that's flat, as soon as you can see the sand, you're 3 miles off if you're standing in the cockpit of a boat. That's a rule of thumb. Lots of different rules of thumbs when you're sailing, and that's the one I always use. Obviously, if the beach goes up into a sand hill, you're going to see it from 10 miles away, but 3 miles is the beach rule. So they'll be having some fun there. And now coming back a bit here, Urton underway, seems to be really happy, enjoyed his stay in the motel on the beach, waterfront, 5.3 knots, 109-mile day. He's made the magic 100, that's okay. Christian, happy video when he was leaving, 5.4 knots and 128 miles, pulling away from Urton. Jacob, what's he doing? 5.2 and 129. Pressure's on. A little bit of a sprint. And coming right the way down here to Adam, doing 4.9, 123. So Jacob takes the cake for today. So what are they likely to get in the next 2 days? Well, first of all, Adam will be in. And let's just see how far he's got to the turn point. So there's 71 plus another 10 down the bottom, 80 miles. He's doing 5 something. So that's, yeah, near enough to 5. Should maintain that. So 80, that's 8 to 16. So 16 hours. And he should be 16 hours and he should be getting close, if not in. And behind Adam, bow to bow, is Jacob, another 16, 17 hours later. So that's to give you an idea. So that's 32 hours for Jacob, roughly, to get down to. Is that right? Yeah, plus the other bits. Yeah, it was 80. That's right, including the turn. So day and a half, and Jacob's in, and then Christian's a little bit further on from that. So now we'll go to what do we go to? We'll go to currents, and then we'll look at the weather. See if the next couple of days currents can stay in close. Here we go. Yep, Jesus, seems to be a bit of movement around there, eh? So as in it changes. It's not just a constant river. It can potentially change. So Adam's going to get a bit of a boost. And Jacob and Christian are right on, if this graphic is correct, right in the best spot. They're coming through get rid of that head current, and then they'll join up with the other. So that's cool. And the other's just cruising along. Let's see what happens when we drag it forward a bit. Boom, just getting softer. Softer, but staying the same. That's cool. Clouds, they're having fun. No, they're under the clouds. No suntan. That's easy. Some of them are getting pretty brown, eh? It's interesting when you look back at photos. You get a current photo now. I saw it was Adam and Christian and Jacob all sitting around having a beer in Rodriguez, and you compare those pictures to pictures in Portugal when they were pudgies. Now they're looking trim, taut, and terrific. Look out for the girls. Anyway, that's what happens when you go to sea. Kind of cool. I think we've done everything we need to do there. Yep, I'll just see where the others are while we're here. I'll come back to wind, and then we'll zoom in on Port Louis and Mauritius. See, Madagascar's in trouble. Jeepers, they've got lots of political issues there at the moment. I'll make this bigger. Why did I do that? We've got 233 days they've been out there now. I've buried it too far. I'm just going to go down so you can see where they actually are in the bay. Here, one more. Come on. Okay, here they come. Here they come. So Kerry's still down at the bottom there. Lots of nice restaurants. He's over somewhere over the other side there. There we go. Oh, he's in the port there, yeah. They usually come over here first stop and get there, but now Kerry's moved over into this little pool here. So that's, yep, that's where he is, and the others are up top. There's the finish line there. Coming down. There we go. They must all be on that little pier there. Okay, so they're all there. When I say all, that's as big as it can go. Looks like Renault. I know Renault and Dan are there, but I've lost track of Pila. She must be there as well. Unless it's somewhere else. No. Okay. Anyway, that's it. So we'll come back here and say g'day, read you the reports. Okay. Get rid of that. Rightio. Boom. 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 Entrant reports. Adam's report from Kerry. It's Adam's manager. 110 miles to go this morning. That was at 400 UTC. But the main reports, 3 messages. So, okay, got lots of other messages here. Okay, report from. Okay, yesterday. Eric, update. Sun Bear 14. That was yesterday. What a fantastic day in Rodriguez. I think I've read that. Christian, the short stay in Rodriguez was a highlight. Everyone's friendly. Yeah, we've read that as well. I didn't get Kerry's. That was. What time did his come in? Yeah, okay, so here's a big one from Kerry. I'll read you the lot because it's got some interesting news. Origami update. I got some photos there too, which I think, I don't know whether I sent that to Jane, but she's put some up. Back to my old form. Entry to Port Louis under sail. It was Sunday. Aroused the Coast Guard's concern as I was heading towards their precious cutters, so I sculled the last few boat lengths with all sails furled. The 3-day crossing had been uneventful, apart from a marked increase in shipping from the direction of Good Hope. It's only likely to increase when we set off again for Durban, which is slightly unsettling. Yeah, there'll be a lot of traffic, and when you're sailing solo, you tend to, you do your own risk assessment based on perceptions and look at your AIS and see how much traffic's around and things like that. But there's other boats not on AIS. And then you sort of, I call it kiss your ass goodbye and just go to sleep, and just hope it works. But that sort of gets more challenging when there's more traffic and you know it's coming. So, but if their systems are working, and they should be working, and when they leave port from Mauritius, they've got to give us a port departure form. And we can be very particular and very critical here because they could get things repaired in Mauritius. So if they come up and say their AIS is not working or their radar Ecomax transponder is not working, we say, don't leave. We're not going to give you approval to leave. So get it fixed and then you can go. Sometimes in little islands out the back, if something fails, well, there's not much you can do. At least we know. So if something happens, we can say, oh, look, he's out there and he's got this and this working, but that's not working. So it's a two-way street. As if we, and carrying on from Kerry, as if we won't have enough to contend with already with notorious winds and waves in the region. Madagascar's military coup will also deny us a useful diversion port if the weather turns foul. As I was just saying, you may not see the news, but there's major upheavals going on in Madagascar. The French just 2 days ago flew the president out, and major riots, and the military have turned to support the protesters, and blah blah blah. So there's basically another military coup by the look of it. Touch wood. Port Louis is very cosmopolitan, with a fascinating colonial past involving both France and Britain. I'm enjoying spending time with Sippi in Finland. That's a Finnish boat mate that they're sailing with, I think. Another boat going around. White Malkin, he's there. That's Mike on with a Rust 36. Haven't seen him for a while. And Peeler and Peter Punk. So we shall soon be evicted from the city marina to make way for the World Art Chords. Oh, so that's okay. So they're in the city marina, and yes, everyone's got to be out. They're supposed to be out by now. It was supposed to be out by the 12th, but obviously not all the ARC boats have turned up at the same time, so they've found a hole there for a while. Tant Piss, Grand Bay beckons. That might be a spelling thing. Anyway, sad news for Kerry. Sadly, my mother died yesterday, which was the day he arrived. Basically, she was a big fan of the NGR and a mighty woman in a tiny frame. I shall miss her deeply. So that was sad news for Kerry, being caught at sea like that. But mothers being mothers, there's only one mother, and my mother used to be the same. They're always happy to see you out doing things. So one of those classic sad situations. Okay, got lots of messages here. Got one from Urton. I think this one's the thing. Yeah, tracker on her way to Mauritius. Little rain this morning. Now another sunny day. Watching Final Frontier in silly TV. Final Frontier. I don't know whether that's a series or a movie or whatever. So anyway, there's a bit of. I think they're enjoying the time there. Now the trick will be how much time are they going to have. In fact, I didn't look at that. I'll just come back to the tracker before we go through any comments. So first of all, I put you on the tracker. You're on the tracker, and then I'm on the tracker, and I'm just going to do an ETA for the last couple of boats, just to see what the timelines look like for Stopover. So, because this was a bit of an issue for Jazz, because she's got some sales coming in and bits and pieces. Now, when she's got sales coming in, she doesn't automatically get a 48-hour penalty for using a new sail, because it can be sealed on board, and I think that's part of the plan. To seal it on board, because some of the others, in fact, Jazz had it coming in with a personal delivery in luggage to Mauritius, and then there's Renault and Christian and Jacob, I think it was, have all ordered another sail, and that's coming into Durban. And again, if they're not used straight away, they'll be kept on file in case they need them, and then they can only open the sails when they get into a port. Okay, where there's normal freight. So, distances, what am I doing here? Okay, so at the moment, Jasmine and Eric, I think I dropped it on top here, Jasmine and Eric are 260 miles plus 70 miles, plus another 280 miles. So they're going to be making, okay, so today is the 15th, so if it was 3 days, that allows them to do their customs clearance and everything. So 15, 16, 17, 18. So they should be in and done and dusted by the 18th. So they've got 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I can count. I'm using my fingers. You can't see that. So that's 7 days. So it looks like Jasmine will get 7 days. Jasmine and Eric will get 7 days if they want to leave with the others, which is not too bad. And then Josh will lose out. I forget exactly when he's going to leave, but he'll probably, if they've got 7, he's going to have at least 5 full days, I would say. And he's got a fair bit to do. So I've been stressing to all entrants that, anyway, we're done with that. So if I come back here, I've been stressing to all entrants they should only leave when they're fit and ready to go. We've got a mass start. The clock is ticking once the start's there, but, there's no pressure to be leaving there, rather, until such time as everything's good. Anyway, I think we're done there. covered a lot of ground. Those that joined late, you've been interested in the comments at the front. Now I can't get up unless we've only got 3 comments, looks like it. So, g'day, Elsie, 2 Pelican, Roy here. How did Entrant overtake Jasmine and Eric? Okay, well, I didn't mention on this one. There's different stopover times, okay? So, Entrant was behind Eric and Jasmine when they got in. Eric and Jasmine had their time reduced from 6 days to 5 days, okay? So all the rest of the people in front of them had 6 days. Eric and Jasmine stayed for 5 days. But because Entrant and Josh were further down the back, they were allocated to stay for 4 days. Okay. But then, surprise, surprise, when they were approaching Rodriguez, Entrant decided to stop watching TV, concentrate on sailing, and all of a sudden his speed started picking up. So he was actually, because when we gave him the timeline, he was a full day, at least a full day behind Jasmine and Eric. But of course, when he arrived, he's only like half a day behind them. So he's now leapfrogged because he stayed a full day less. So that's a brief explanation. And that'll all be evened out for time on the water when they're in Mauritius. We will do a position update for all the boats, so it wipes out those inequalities of stopover time in both Mauritius and Thursday Island, because in Thursday Island there was Cocos. Thursday Island they all stayed for 5. When they got to Cocos, some stayed for 10 days, some stayed for 12 days. So there's another 2-day gap, which was between the lead pack and Adam and everyone behind him. So a bit of confusion. I hope it's clear, but if you haven't heard that stuff before, that's what goes on. Mike and Gay, g'day, Mike and Gay. Good to see you, and hope all's well there. That's it. We're out of here. Done. See you tomorrow. Yep, there'll still be boats out there tomorrow, so we'll see you then. Bye-bye.